from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So we want everybody to tune in, and there'll be some prizes, but mainly there's going to be some good information and giving people an opportunity to contribute to this incredible ministry that deals with autism awareness. And we did a fundraiser a while back for someone to be able to get a kidney transplant, transformed Randall's life.
Wow.
Exactly.
Transformed his life. He'd been on dialysis for 11 and a half years.
Wow.
And most folks don't survive quite that long. But anyhow, so it'll be a great opportunity for people to join forces with Acts Media Group, with Acts Ministry.
Yes, it is.
That's actually really near and dear to my heart because my mom had a kidney transplant and passed away after having it. So, yeah, that's really awesome that...
And Randall is still hanging in there.
Randall is still hanging in there.
That's so awesome.
That's so exciting. And what people don't know about Acts Ministries is everything that you see here on every day is volunteer based, but we still need, we still have that overhead we need to cover, and we have rent and everything else. But
you have to pay the rent, and sometimes doing good works takes resources.
Yes,
takes money to make that happen.
Absolutely.
So exciting. And we have some days we're celebrating, actually the month of October. I like some of these, but
Yeah, Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Yes.
Celebrating the Bilingual Child Month. I did that in honor of Saf.
Oh, yes, she is the bilingual.
French and Spanish and English as well, I believe.
Yes.
Wow.
And Clergy Appreciation Month, and we're going to be honored to have one of our pastors, local pastors, in studio with us today. And I love this one, German American Heritage Month.
Wow.
There you have it. That's me.
Ja, guten Morgen, meine Damen und meine
too.
Herren out there, all you Germans and Italian American Heritage. Apple Month, yay!
Yay!
Chili Month, and in honor of my wife, National Cookie Month. She makes some of the best cookies ever.
I saw her picture the other day on Facebook.
Yes.
I wanted them.
The cookies.
Baking things for church.
Yeah.
And today, October 1, is International Coffee Day.
I
So
can get
there we
behind
go.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, and Homemade Cookie Day.
I can get behind that.
And Day of Unity. Today's a Day of Unity.
Yes, I can get behind. We can have unity as we come together with homemade cookies and coffee.
Yep.
I think that's
actually
the
and Acts Ministries slogan, their concept, their mission is unity in Christ through the Holy Spirit.
Wow.
So that's
awesome.
that's what this ministry is all about. And birthdays today. Happy birthday, Julie Andrews, born in 1935, and a shout out to Jimmy Carter, born in 1924, and Bonnie Parker, born in 1910. She is no longer with us because she and Clyde were pretty well taken care of.
Bonnie and Clyde, yes.
many years ago, Bonnie and Clyde, but today was her birthday.
It was a shotgun romance, wasn't it?
Yes.
Or what is it, Tommy Gun?
Yeah, Tommy Gun.
So exciting. Well, in honor of International Cookie Day, before we get to our guest, because we're going to be interviewing her eating cookies, I hope you don't mind. Okay, so this is the only reason I got this treat today, because of Matt. Because Matt said he never had deep fried Oreos. Have you? Didn't you say you never had deep fried Oreos? Okay, so, literally, I got you a whole box of deep fried Oreos right here, Matt. You're gonna.
Well, you're gonna have to eat mine because I can't have gluten.
I know, no.
So,
Actually, I
ER.
remembered gluten, so I got another box for Jay.
All right.
Jay, here's your ice cream and. Yes, I do have spoons.
I'll eat that.
No, yes, you can eat this. Here, Jen.
Yeah, that's gluten free. I'm all about that.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay, so this is the a la mode. Jay, you can come over here and get your cup.
Hey, they're still warm even.
I know.
Should we bless the food?
Yeah.
Say grace.
Say grace.
Say grace.
Thank you, Lord, for the bountiful harvest of fried Oreos that we are about to receive in Jesus' name.
Amen.
For all this health food.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, don't they look like giant nuggets? I mean,
They do. They look like, I don't know.
How'd you keep this frozen? That's what I want to know. This is still frozen. Is it real?
She sped.
Oh, man.
what did
Okay, Jay just went to, or, Matt just went to heaven right there.
Is it good? Is it good?
It's really good.
Is it?
You're gonna eat through us, right?
Yeah.
what-
Yeah.
This
can
is what
say-
you call vicarious satisfaction.
It tastes like a funnel cake with Oreos on it. Yeah, the aftertaste is that of a funnel cake.
Oh, wow.
They probably use funnel cake batter. This is amazing.
I don't think it's nugget batter. No.
No?
What do you think, Jay?
You know it's good whenever you take a bite of it, and then you
And you
slow
just
down.
shake. You just
You
shake
just
your
slow
head.
down. Start chewing slowly.
There are no words.
Good.
I'm about to do something crazy.
It's not
here.
too sweet.
That's what it's supposed to be. That's what it's supposed to
It
be.
would make me
Oh.
think like it's
You're supposed to
too
dip it
much,
like a nugget.
Too sweet.
Dip it like a nugget.
Oh, in this, huh?
Yeah. Well, okay. So, so we agree that the deep fried Oreo, Matt, we experienced that firsthand with Matt for the first time. So that was a good experience. I feel like we've
First
introduced
time
you-
ever. I didn't even know Sonic had those.
Yeah, just for the fair food. 9.5.1.
Wow, that's a high number.
And as you know, this is my mental health food sometimes, cookies and ice cream. But of course, Jennifer, you can't have gluten.
I can't have gluten.
So tell us what you've been doing. I know that you have been out and about with Brittany's Bridge. You just got through speaking in Bolivar yesterday
yeah.
at SBU.
Yep.
So tell us about this journey you've been on since we've seen you last.
Oh my gosh. So,
Thank you.
You're welcome.
what's so exciting is really kind of seeing the pieces come together and seeing how the need for really providing real tangible resources for people who are struggling. When I launched Brittany's Bridge and kind of had this vision, I just kind of went in, and I really went in with a like it's okay to fail mentality.
Oh yeah.
Because I know that I'm going into a niche and I'm trying to do something new. I hadn't really quite seen it.
Yeah.
So what I've actually designed is an online portal, and right now I'm populating this online portal with classes.
Yes.
And what's so unique, so there's a course in there called How to Win the Mental Health Battle You're Facing. So a
Yeah.
person gets an initial intake with me, and then I set them on their way, and there's 22 different lessons inside this portal, but anywhere along the way that they want, they can stop and check in with me twice.
Yes.
So with Brittany's Bridge, what's going to be really exciting is as I train up the advocates,
Yeah.
they become the people that the people check in with.
Wow.
So now I've not only am I the one that's doing it, but I'm able to duplicate those efforts. So
Yeah.
I have someone right now that is a retired firefighter.
Yes.
And so he's one of the advocates. So if there's a firefighter or a police officer that's struggling, when they come in, they're going to actually get the face of someone of like me too.
Yes.
So it's not Jennifer anymore. It's somebody who's actually been there.
Yes.
That really gets to work with them. So so that's really neat just to see. So there's people in my courses right now. I can jump in there and communicate with them, see how far I can see if they've watched the videos. Like it's just
Yeah.
really exciting. So yesterday at the school, what I told the students from the stage was to text the word shatter to 21000. And so for the first time, I got to see like the whole big picture come together. So they
Exactly.
texted it. The word, they got the link, they went in. So like last night, I got to see students inside this course.
Wow, that's amazing.
So just really, really neat to kind of watch
Yeah.
like one thing be able to help so many people
Ex-
and just kind of trying to figure out how to sustain that.
Yeah, and I know, having a first-time college student or any college student in general, but I know my daughter struggles with anxiety, and it's having that mental support there in college directly is so important. Having that person that you can check in with, and thankfully we were able to connect her with someone, but we got a blast from the school that said, hey, we know some of the kids are struggling. Please let them know that the mental health services in this area, and they're connected with that. But it takes them to, do that, to connect with that. But it's not an isolated incident. And sometimes, our kids don't tell us a lot, but they talk to advocates like you.
Right.
And this is such an important program to have and be able to check in. Because honestly, my psychiatrist is not on 24/7 call.
Right.
Like I can't call him up. Of course, I called Jennifer. But it's exciting. And one of the things, tell me about you said that some of your steps. You actually have come out with quite a few books, and music actually.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that whole reveal as far as the package goes.
Oh my gosh, it's just been so neat. So my youngest daughter, Amber, we grew up in a house of faith, but after my husband and daughter were killed, she really just struggled with her faith. And I would say if you had asked her, are you a Christian or what, she would probably have just said, I don't know what I am. I don't know what I believe. I believe there's a God. I just don't know. But Jesus just got a hold of her heart, and so last year she got rebaptized, and she is just on fire. And so she wrote this song and sent me the lyrics to this song, and it's called Shatter the Strongholds. And I'm not typically someone who takes lyrics and turns them into a melody. That's just not really who I am. But that day she sent me those lyrics, and I sat down, and the melody just came out. I just started singing it. And so we co-wrote this song, and it's produced, it's out. And so then after we wrote that, it really got us thinking about what are strongholds.
Yeah.
And this the stronghold of people pleasing, the stronghold of rebellion and jealousy and all of these things. And yet we're really taking it through the lens of where is Jesus when we are struggling with these strongholds?
Yeah.
So we're not talking about the stronghold themselves. It's where is Jesus at in your own personal struggle with rebellion?
Yes.
And so we wrote a book called Shatter the Strongholds, and in it right now, we've just tackled 10. So when I get back home, the online portal for Shatter the Strongholds is waiting for the videos to be populated. So not only can you buy the book or get the book, but then you can jump into the online course and take that with us as well.
Yes.
So Sunday at Morningside, I was able to give one lesson and shared that lesson. It was on comparison.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my gosh. It was so exciting to see the light bulbs go off. People were like, you're right. I never thought about when Christ says, to run the race that's set before you. So often we do the comparison thing where we look to each other and we think that we're actually racing each other.
Yes.
But the only opponent that we're actually racing is the enemy himself.
Yeah.
And the enemy wants you to quit racing.
Exactly.
The enemy wants to take you out, but otherwise we're all racing together.
Exactly.
I'm not trying to beat you.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to compare myself to you, and I have my own race that I'm running. And because I've been diagnosed with PTSD and I buried a child, I got a rock on my back. So if I ever look at you and you're running so much smoother and your marriage looks great and all those things, if I do anything in that comparison,
yes,
I'm going to think that I'm failing the one person that I should be keeping my eyes on.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So that's just one lesson, and it's oh. So we are just super excited to launch Shatter the Strongholds. And again, today, anyone who texts the word shatter to 21000 gets the book and the song for free.
Wow.
So
21000. 21000.
Yep.
Text the word shatter
Yep.
to that, and you'll get the book and the song.
Yep.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing.
And so it's just so neat to see that. So the students did it, they jumped in, and so the free course right now is called The One Thing I Wish Everyone Knew About Suicide and Depression. It's just a free mini course.
Yeah.
And where it's just been neat. Sometimes I get these things, these concepts, or they come to me, and I don't really know where in God's word or his wisdom or where that came from. But this week, it really came clear to me. So the scripture that says, love the Lord your God with all of your heart, your soul, your strength, and your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I really want to challenge people to think about is, like, sometimes when we're struggling with something, we try to fix it with one piece. And that's what the course is really about, is that if you're going to fix a mental health battle, you can't fix a physical mental health piece with a spiritual piece. And even scripture, like, why did he not just say, love the Lord with all you got?
Yeah.
Why did they break it down this way?
Yeah.
Because the Lord knows that we have a heart, a soul, a physical strength, and a mind.
Yes.
And so if your body is what's being attacked, you got to fix your body.
Yeah.
If your mind what's being attacked, we need to learn how to fix our mind. If it's our spirit that's being attacked, we need to know how to fix our spirit.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And so that's the free course that you'll get. And so I just was like, oh, Lord, thank you for your wisdom on that.
Exactly.
Thank you that even you are like, hello, you know, if we're trying to fix a particular piece over and over and over, and as the church, I think we've terribly failed at saying, you know what, you just need to pray.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that praying does not help work, all of that. But for myself, I have thyroid disease.
Yeah.
That's a physical piece that I have to fix.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I am not well.
Yeah. Well, that's
So,
what I mean, like I was, you know, I know my cycle with my bipolar cycle. I know that I tend to be up and now I'm going into a down cycle.
Right.
And there are people who are at my level of who really, and there's times where I feel like literally cannot get out of bed. And sometimes you thank God for being able to brush your teeth.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
And it doesn't mean the absence of God in the room.
Right.
It doesn't mean that he's not there and making a way. But it's so exciting to have these resources, Jennifer, and to be able to you know, have that. So go ahead, and we're going to play your song at the end of the podcast. Is that exciting?
Yeah. Wow,
Okay. So and we'll text shattered to
Shatter.
shatter,
Not ED.
not shattered.
Yep.
Okay.
SHATTER.
Awesome.
Shatter.
Awesome. Well, exciting.
How
Well,
fun.
in the segue from past to pastoral care, we actually have a lady on the line who's a pastor's wife, and then we're going to get to the pastor.
Yes.
That's
We're
exciting.
glad to have Pastor Gary Swearingen in studio with us.
Yes. So
Nice to meet you.
we're going to get
You'll need to be like right up.
like on the mic. It's a beautiful thing.
Hello.
Hello, Meredith. This is Amber.
Hi, Meredith.
Hey.
And I have all my friends in the studio with me, a big full, and we wish you were here to eat deep fried Oreos with us. Meredith Sage Kendall, meredithsagekendall.com, just an amazing lady. She's a pastor's wife, which is a whole new level of commitment and a whole new level of strength. And you have a new book out called My Gigi's House, Finding Hope, which is so incredible because I get to help with that project. Meredith, tell us a little bit about this book because you're returning to the podcast. Tell us a little bit about this book project.
My Gigi's House was actually, has been in the making for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I just didn't know which way it would go.
Mm-hmm.
So I do need to say thank you, Amber, for the book cover. It is beautiful.
Thank you.
Everything everything Amber does is beautiful.
Thank
That
you.
is true.
Yeah.
So when I started the book, I didn't know if it was going to be my life story or my husband's life story with me and what it was going to do. And we were actually in Florida for Christmas back in 2017. And I was sitting down by the dock, and I was just laying there listening to the water and the fish jump in. And then all of a sudden, there started to be like some really loud speaking and talking across the canal. And it was a husband and wife or a boyfriend, girlfriend. I don't even know who it was, but it was just, there was a fight going on. And immediately it was like everything just kind of downloaded on me in that second and said, this is what the book's going to be about.
Wow.
And basically it's Raylan's story of walking away from an abusive relationship and finding hope. She has a chance meeting, Miss Shelley, and it starts this cascade of what's next and how do I do life alone and how do I walk the way God wants me to walk. And in the midst of this, she's pregnant.
Wow.
And she's fighting between having an abortion and having a child. And how will she do this? And how will she make this work? And the book became so long that the second book is already in process.
Yay.
That's a lovely thing, though. So,
And today is the official launch day.
today
of
is
book.
the official launch date. And
Yay.
Meredith, where can they get your book? I know that probably your website and
Yes, as of right now, the website, Amazon will have them. They will be able to get them online. The audio book will be out in probably November 1st.
oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. So
and this story is really close to your heart because you do work with single moms and who are actually contemplating. You work in a pregnancy care center type place. Tell me about that ministry.
yes, for the last 17 years, my husband and I have actually worked with single moms who living in poverty, addiction, negative generational cycles, whatever. And then I did start working with a pregnancy center down here. They actually have a home.
Wow.
And it's really funny is because some of the attributes that I didn't even know existed in their home were some of the things that I wrote about in the book.
Oh, that's
Wow.
so
And
awesome.
so, but I work very closely with crisis pregnancy centers because our whole goal is to help the woman heal from the inside out so that in 2 years they're not coming back with another child,
Wow.
but they are actually learning to love themselves, to love God, and to let God work on them so that they will find their hope in Jesus and not in a man,
Right.
not in
Yeah.
having another child and not continuing and perpetuating that cycle.
Right.
Wow.
Meredith, how long is the book, and is it does it have like self-help stuff, or is it just like a short read, or
I'm sorry, what did you say?
My Gigi's House? Like, how long is
Uh-huh.
the book? Is there like self-help stuff, like reflective questions and scriptures, or is it a read, like just a read?
It actually, it's actually in a book, but during the whole book, they are going to class, which is based off the 180 program, which is
Uh-huh,
a
yes.
life recovery
Yes,
program
yes, yes.
that we wrote.
That's awesome.
So you incorporated stuff into that, just kind of right into the book.
It is.
Wow.
So they can actually go through that whole 8 weeks. Yes,
Oh,
it is.
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Well-
I know someone. I need to connect with you. I've got that's why I'm asking. I'm
That's
going to send her your way.
That's exciting. And you know what? Sometimes the beauty of it, Meredith, is sometimes it's more showing a person a mirror of a situation, and they're like, "That's who I am. That's what I'm dealing with." Instead of talking to someone, you're showing them through someone that there is recovery possible, and there is a hope, and there is a story that is a good. A good ending. God never writes a story with, when He steps into those situations, He redeems everything that you could possibly think that was a negative. God redeems, and I think that that's a beautiful thing. And I know that you have. I wanted to really quick, as a pastor's wife, and you have a special. Kind of love for coming around because these pastors and pastors' wives need special care that sometimes people don't understand, special support that sometimes people don't understand. I don't think sometimes pastors understand the support they need. So tell us about, what you do with the pastoral care, you and your husband.
Well, for the last, like I said, 17 years, we had a nonprofit, on the front lines doing ministry. Then we started going around the country teaching and training churches on how to effectively minister in their own backyards, how to reach those, not by just giving a box of food or paying a light bill, but how do we come around them and create purpose, value, and dignity in the lives of those that we're serving. And in doing that, we're realizing there's a lot of churches out there, and the pastors, they're lonely. I mean, if you look at the suicide rate, if you look at how many people are leaving the ministry every week, they don't have anybody they can talk to because they can't talk to the congregation. They can't talk to their neighbors. And so we ended up becoming a sounding board, to pastors who just needed someone to say, you're not alone.
Yeah.
And
so
we understand. And it's not the end of the world, but if they don't have a safe place to talk, they take it all in, and then one little thing snaps, and then everything comes unraveled.
Yep.
And before we know it, we have another pastor committing suicide that was just up on, stage on Sunday, praising the Lord. And they're like, how does this happen?
Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
when you're dealing and hearing everybody's stories day in and day out, and you don't have a safe place to talk, then it takes its toll, and Satan has a field day with it.
That's so true. And I know that there is a recent story of a young pastor who is also very vocal about his struggle with suicide, who actually ended up taking his own life. And I always say, with the struggles that you deal with, I can put on my game face, I can come in, I can, but it doesn't really, when you get up on that platform, everybody knows how to be show ready, I think, even when you're transparent, even when you're open about it, but just being able to, I think, openly honest, discuss it, letting people in your congregation know that you're a real person, that you have these issues, but it's such a dark moment. He seemed like there was nothing, no alternatives. And I think because it is a scary place, because sometimes mind and stuff is overwhelming. So am I. And I always tell people, I know the truth of God. I felt his presence. I feel his presence. But sometimes the chemicals in your brain or whatever's going on, it's just completely overwhelming. And if you don't have an outlet, especially for pastoral care in that way.
Leader.
So I thank you so much, Meredith, for what you do. One more, MeredithSageKendall.com. We'll put it in the links. Put the links to my Gigi's house. Meredith, and we'll put your, do you have some pastoral helps that you have online right now?
We don't have it online. More, they just kind of reach out to us. I mean, on my website, I actually do have a compassion fatigue test.
Ooh,
you can see
compassion
if
fatigue.
you need to get help.
Okay.
Yeah. So go on that. I'm going to put that in the link, compassion fatigue test. I know that a lot of people would deal with that, even if they don't have that the issue of dealing with extra mental health. But fatigue is a huge problem in this generation, where we're asked to keep going and keep going and keep going, keep our cell phones on 24/7. It's a hard thing, but thankfully we have people like Jennifer and Meredith and Gary that just, they're really about just reaching people where they are. So exciting. Thank you so much, Jennifer. Thank you so much, Meredith. Leave, Jennifer. Thank you, Meredith, for joining us today.
Thank you, Meredith.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye,
All right.
Meredith.
Bye. Take
Bye,
care.
Jennifer. Bye.
Yeah, so much fatigue. I think dealing with just people talking to you is fatigue enough, and
I think one of the hardest things for me is that when I started to become suicidal, like it moved from depression to suicide, like I never asked for those thoughts. And so as a pastor, you know, you're the leader, you're the one teaching and all that. It's like whatever those thoughts are that are going on, we have to know how to fight that battle, which is like you have to just say, I am not my thoughts.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not my thoughts. I can tell my thoughts go away. I can pray over them. I can work through that. But like, we don't get to control. It's like you see a billboard sign and it's like, ooh, I want a cookie. Well, no, I don't. You know, like we're not in control of that.
Yeah, life's a lot of choices. You know, 2 Corinthians 10:5 talks about taking
every thought captive. Exactly.
And so life is all about choices, no matter what profession you're in. And obviously the view from outside is that pastors have it together.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Gary,
and
do
they
you
know
feel
all the
like you have
scripture.
it together?
Depends on what day it is.
or who you ask, right? Ask so and so if they think I have it together.
You know, obviously, some days you feel like you're in the groove, so to speak, with God. You know, and you're doing everything you know to do, and you feel fulfilled and satisfied. And then there's those days when there are people that you interact with, particularly family members, or whatever, just like children growing up, when they don't always do the things you would like for them to do the way you'd like them to do them. They make their own choices.
Right.
And we experienced some of that in our lifetime, and
that's tough to watch.
And those choices then put you in a funk, so to speak, because now you're having to apply all the things that you preach and teach every week to yourself and to your own life to say, okay, I didn't force this choice. I didn't make that decision, but I'm responsible for the person who did. And so, am I a failure? Did I not do God's will? There's a whole myriad of things then that
I absolutely know.
puts you into that place
Yeah.
you know, where you have to then take those very steps that you teach and preach.
I'm
and
right
say,
there with you.
Yeah. you
Well, Pastor Gary, I know that you're a pastor at Nixa Church of the Nazarene over here in between Ozark and is that between Ozark? Somewhere out this way.
Yeah, just south of Springfield.
South of Springfield. You know, I know that we talk about Clergy Appreciation Month. Do you have a hard time feeling appreciation? I mean, do you struggle?
No, I've been very blessed. I mean, there are days like there is with anything. There are days where you feel like you're giving your best, and it's like nobody recognizes the effort or the time that you're putting into it. But I have been very blessed. I have pastored 3 congregations. I'm with the congregation in Nixa now for 34 years.
Oh, wow.
And those people have been very kind. I mean, I was 28 years old when I started there.
Oh, wow.
And so we had 2 children at that point in time. We had 2 daughters that have been born since that period of time that we've been there. And our church has been very supportive of our children. They've been very supportive of us. Do they always agree with us? No.
Yes.
You know, and sometimes when you feel like you're leading them in a direction that you really want them to go, the whole reason you have boards or councils or people to kind of give some balances and checks, you know, is to make sure you're really hearing the voice of the Lord, not getting caught up in your own thoughts. But I have been blessed, and I feel I've never gone through a period of time other than for a moment or a day. Maybe I've never had an extended period of time where I felt like I was really up against the wall and nobody in the congregation was on the same page with me or gave any support.
You have wonderful people.
Yeah.
I do.
What are some things that maybe the congregation may not know that pastors deal with added, besides just keeping it together? What are the best ways that congregations can support their pastor?
Well, every pastor has a different personality.
Yes.
There are type A aggressives and there are passives and there are all those kind of, and the thing that I try to remember even in peer ministry, because I have a really good support group of pastors that I meet with for prayer and things as well of other denominations, but getting people to understand that everybody processes differently, and so everybody is not going to see things from your angle or your way. Remembering to be flexible with your congregation and patient. I think the thing that maybe we would say that we want people on the other side to understand is there's tremendous pressure that we place on ourselves, and sometimes it's very much self-inflicted.
Yes.
but oftentimes there are expectations that are verbalized by congregational members because of their environment or the way they've been raised or whatever. And so you're trying. My personality is such that one of my greatest weaknesses, I'm a people pleaser.
Yeah.
I want
Oh my goodness.
I want everybody to like me. I want everybody to be happy all the time. I'm going to be the eternal diplomat about everything.
Yeah.
You know, and
So I can see raising kids was hard anyway. Just a congregation of 3 or 2.
yeah, parenting is a challenge for anybody. But when your own children also live in that same environment, to where I can remember my kids saying to me, "Dad, we're tired of always saying the prayer in Sunday school class.
Yeah.
We're tired of, it's always the preacher's kid will do it. If
Yeah.
nobody else's kid wants to do it, the preacher's kid will do it. And they just want to be kids like everybody else's kids.
Exactly.
So it's not things that people do intentionally
Yes.
or maliciously.
Yes.
It just is what it is.
Yeah, I know that there's a lot of different. I recognize in pastors that I'm around, like some of them are leading pastors, some of them are shepherd pastors. But some of them do have those. The interactions are tiring, and they can't be that coffee drinking pastor with everybody in their congregation. And that must be hard sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I believe pastors are human beings. So they desire.
Say it ain't so.
Oh, goodness.
They desire relationships and friendships. One of the things that I hear a lot of pastors say sometimes is, and particularly pastors' wives, oftentimes they don't have a best friend anymore.
Yeah.
Wow.
They may have come through other segments of life where they had a best friend, but because oftentimes the majority of your time is around your congregation, and obviously there is a certain professional distance, and I don't always like that distance.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you take one person that you really connect with personality-wise in your congregation, then all of a sudden the remainder of your congregation thinks you like that person
Yeah.
better.
Favoritism.
Or-
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, and so you're trying not
Oh
to
my
do
goodness.
that, and so you're maintaining. So I try to find those relationships outside of my own congregation.
Wow.
And like
Yeah.
I say, I have a blessing again. God has blessed me so much all my life. But I've had the benefit now of being in the same community for the 34 years that we've pastored there, and as a result of that have made very deep, very
Yeah.
strong relationships with local pastors.
Yeah.
And during the days when the conferences, the Atlanta Pastors Clergy Conference, and all that started, there were some prayer groups that were formed, and also for back in about the same time, the Springfield for Christ Network was established for a little while, and they had the prayer summits that we attended, and I built some relationships there. And we have a group in Nixa of Nixa pastors. There's probably up to 6 or 8 pastors
Wow.
that meet on Monday mornings, and all of them are also members of the Ministerial Alliance, so it feeds into the Ministerial Alliance as well. But yes, we get together as pastors and pray, but we have been together long enough now that we are all friends. We have each other's back,
Wow.
and so we can walk into that room on Monday morning and know that we can say anything, whether it's rejoicing or whether we're hurting, and it's in confidence. And so, I've been blessed to have that place. But the deal is, every pastor doesn't have that.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
And you have to lower your pride to be willing to do. It takes a bit of courage to kind of move through that.
So true.
And to
And there's always the fear, this is crazy, but the bottom line is, if I find pastor friends that are Nazarene pastors, because there's probably 10 Nazarene churches in a 10-mile radius of Springfield.
Yes.
But then the fear is, if I speak vulnerability to someone of my own denomination, is that word going to get on up to my district superintendent? Is it going to get to a higher authority? Is it going to affect my ministry? So for me, having peers outside of my own denomination
Yes.
has opened the door
Yep.
for that real friendship,
yeah.
Yeah.
as well as peer, relations.
We really do have more in common than we have differences.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And if
That's
we
true.
can come together on those points of unity,
Yeah.
loving one another, caring for one another, being able to be open and honest even at the highest levels, I think that's a great reflection of the body of Christ.
It really is.
I know, I know that that pastoral families can get just fatigued just by having to feel like you are a family on a pedestal, and everything you do.
In a glass box.
And
Yeah.
its say is under review, and every Facebook post. I know that can be tiring to my children, that everything is under review. How do you get through those things and realizing giving your family a little bit of slack, even with your wife,
First of all, let me just say that I have a tremendous wife. She is a wonderful helpmate.
She puts up with you.
She puts up with me, and she straightens me out once in a while.
Amen to that.
I literally get frustrated sometimes because she is really good at whatever I verbalize, and I see it as a nemesis kind of situation sometimes.
Yeah.
But she's really good at trying to say, okay, you have to take time to look at the other side.
wow.
To the point that it frustrates me sometimes, that it's like, don't you ever just agree with me? Can't you just be upset with me about something that I'm upset about? But she's been really great to help balance my life. But I know that, sometimes I don't really even totally understand all that she's going through. Because one of the things I know that I see happen is oftentimes, because I'm a strong personality, people will not come directly to me
Yes.
and say, Pastor, I don't like this, or I don't like that, or I'm upset, or I think you ought to think about this, or I didn't like what you said there. But my wife will get all those messages.
Wow.
And the desire of the congregation, again, not maliciously or meaning, it's the safe way to do it. Pass that information on to Jennifer, and then Jennifer hopefully will pass that information on to me. And she's never been one to kind of gather that in. She kind of says, well, you probably need to speak to Pastor about that. So she's terrific. She's solid as a rock.
Yeah.
Again, hey, I'm blessed in virtually every possible way. I mean, I feel like
Yeah.
I hear people talk about various situations, and we've gone through challenges. I could list all kinds of challenges that we've been through, but my mom and dad taught me,
Yeah.
and this is another blessing.
Yeah.
I was raised in a solid Christian home,
Yeah.
and my mother taught me faith that goes beyond circumstance.
Yes.
So faith is not predicated by what's happening. Faith is what you have in a power that is always there, and though we may not understand things, then God is still God, and everything will still be the way it should be in the end.
Yes.
And so that has carried me, a lot of the things that
So
you've
much.
described this morning, a lot of those situations. I would say that I've had the benefit of being fed a very strong faith, very positive mentality, so that when I look at circumstances, sure, I get down once in a while, and my wife certainly knows that part. But I think given a little bit of time and process, God has been good to help me come back out of that. So
So
I can't
true.
say I've never experienced a suicidal thought in my
Yes.
life. I've not had that experience. I hope I never have it. But I've had sad days and bad days, and done some stupid stuff, and had to have grace and mercy and forgiveness. But I was taught the right things.
Yes.
So I've always been able to communicate with God in a very redemptive way and believe that His grace was sufficient. And I think that's a huge
That is true.
plus.
Yeah.
That is so true. And before we want to know a little bit about what you're doing at Nixa. First, Nixa Church of the Nazarene. Tell us about.
We took the church 34 years ago as a mission start. It had been planted there. It had existed for about 3 years. I was 28 years old. I was pretty green behind the ears. I'd pastored 2 years in Halltown, Missouri, bivocationally, while I worked for GE here in Springfield, and then I pastored 5.5 years in Splitlog, Missouri.
Oh wow.
There is a real place by
Splitlog.
that name. Named after an Indian chief, Matthias Splitlog. But at any rate, I pastored a church there for 5.5 years. That was my first full-time church. We had our kids there, our first 2 children, 2 boys. Coming to Nixa, we took that as a mission start with about 30 people at the time. And we had been given some responsibilities. My father was a builder, and one of the things they
Wow.
wanted us to do was to build a parsonage. They had some property there, and so we built the church parsonage, which now is the home that we own. We bought that several years later. The church allowed us to purchase that so that we would have equity and a place to go should we not
Wow.
ever be in relationships. So that congregation has grown with us and matured and taught us things, and hopefully we've been able to lead them into some things.
Yeah.
We went through an assessment 3 years ago. We had reached a point. I'm pretty evangelistic minded. I used to hold revivals. The church allows me 2 or 3 weeks for revivals during the year, and I haven't had as much of that lately. But when I was younger, I was also president of the youth over 70-some churches in Kansas,
wow.
Missouri. And so I had a lot of opportunities to go speak outside of my congregation, and they were very supportive of that. So, but we reached a point, like I think a lot of congregations do, anytime the wheel runs for a while, we fell into some comfort zones, and we were not growing like we felt like we wanted to grow. And so we had the opportunity 3 years ago to go through a church health assessment. And basically what it told us about ourselves is we had some really great people who love God with all of their heart, soul, mind, and strength. But the reason we weren't growing is because we weren't reproducing. You know, and we wanted to get past that stage of where we're going to have these transfers come in this year. We're going to send these transfers out and say, what babies have been birthed here?
Yes.
We came to realize that we had ceased to be intentional and bold about carrying out the Great Commission.
Wow.
So coming to understand the Great Commission as everyone's individual responsibility as a New Testament believer, we're all ministers.
That's exciting.
To take on that responsibility, that was a challenge. We made some changes in our physical plant. We made some changes in our worship structure. Not to say that some of the things that we did away with are bad things, but what we realized is the way we were doing things was basically for the benefit and blessing of those who were already saved and already on their way to heaven.
Wow.
And there was a lost and dying world around us, and we were not impacting that world the way that we needed to, and we needed to get outside of our four walls. We had a great fellowship, and fortunately we've been able to maintain a great fellowship of people, but see that we need to reach out. For instance, just this past weekend, it was really kind of an exciting time for me as a pastor. There is a local domestic violence abuse center where women and children can go under situations. We were able to go in this past weekend. We took about 30 people in and ministered to that facility. We assembled some furniture they needed to have assembled. We painted some furniture that needed to be painted. We fed them a free meal. We grilled hamburgers and hot dogs, and we just gave food away and had inflatables for their kids. And so we had about 30 people that ministered in that. Then on Sunday, Sunday is in the Church of the Nazarene what they call Alabaster Sunday, which is an offering for missions where there's no administrative costs removed, but the people can give to that, and it purchases property and builds buildings and does things on the mission field. So they gave over $450 to that offering. They did their regular tithes and offerings. It was also Least of These Sunday in our community, which is the food pantry in Christian County. So there were 25 bags of groceries that were brought in, and $80 that was given that then multiplies into $800 to purchase food. And so this weekend, and then Sunday night, we had a youth fundraiser because we got some kids going on a work and witness trip next summer, and they had a pie auction, and our people came back in. About 70 of our people came back in Sunday night, had a chili supper, potato bar, and then raised about $1,800 for our kids to go to work. So I mean, our people were very generous and very giving, and I think that's what's happened is as we have been able to regain excitement and enthusiasm about bringing people to Christ, then that giving, rather than just going to church for what I'm going to get.
Yeah.
I think that's been part of the church health for us, is getting back to intentional ministry.
That's awesome. So awesome. Well, where can people connect with you guys online? Learn more about the church?
We're at nixanazarene.org, and that's NIXANAZARENE. So nixanazarene.org is our website. We have a Facebook page, Nixa Church of the Nazarene. We're located at 306 Northview Road, which is just like 4 blocks off of 160 Highway, to the east of 160 as you come into Nixa. And so we would love to provide a place. Our goal is to provide a place where people can find God and know God and grow in God.
That's so awesome. That is so awesome. Well, thank you, Gary, for being with us today.
My pleasure.
I appreciate it. Tom, do you have a final natural solution for us?
We'll make this real quick. Milk thistle is a natural substance that improves skin health. It also helps detoxify the liver and pancreas to control diabetes. So it detoxifies the liver, supports healthy liver function, aids the liver's cellular regeneration, boosts immune response, and you can get milk thistle at www.naturalsolutionstore.bz.
Well, I did a quick, covert passover of Jennifer's because I really want you guys to hear this song.
I watched her pull up. I was like, that's not the song. I'm like, she's
Well, and while they're looking for the song, I just want to say that I have been to some special functions that Nixa Church of the Nazarene has put on, and it is excellent. So if you hear about something, get out there and take advantage of it.
Thanks for having me today, Tom. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you all.
Yeah, so this is a song Miss Amber Lynn wrote